Hi guys, I'm going to deliver my pitch for my short film, The Smoking Barrel. It's a film noir detective drama. My choice of task is a short film. I chose this because I feel it'll give me a really good challenge, and it's going to provide a lot of room for creative ideas to flow through, and I think I can produce a really effective product. The ancillaries I've chosen are a poster and a magazine review. I feel a poster is good because it really gives an opportunity to deepen the sense of narrative and genre, as you can see in LA Confidential, which is a more modern take on it. We've got the black and white in the sort of style of the classic film noir movie. I chose a magazine review because I enjoy creative writing, which means I can produce a good quality piece, which is believable as well. The inspirations for mine are very classic, and you'd be able to think of them on the top of your head. I went for LA Confidential because use of opposing character personalities and sense of realism done through setting, prop, soundtrack and costume is really good for trying to teach me how I can do it myself. Citizen Kane is a good one because Orson Welles' masterpiece inspired the film noir revolution that we see today, and great use of competition and depth, oblique angles, elaborate shadows and montages. It really was one of a kind, the first of its kind, and it's definitely an inspiration of modern cinema. Also, the video game LA Noire, that's a modern take on the classic 1930s detective genre. Although it is a video game, it's very extensive. It's got a really wide universe, which means it gives a lot of opportunity for me to take inspiration. The genre of my film, as said before, is a film noir. I chose this because it means I can experiment with different aspects of the movie that I haven't previously had to rely on. For example, lighting plays a massive part in the film noir genre. Because it's in black and white, it's absolutely vital for effect and for deepening the narrative. Soundtrack plays a major part, and this means I can use it to affect it, because often sound quality wasn't very good in the original sort of film noir era of the early 1900s, which meant that it really played a vital part in movies, and I'm looking forward to using that as well. So the synopsis of my film is a British detective, Sam Briggs, been called to the scene of a crime. A man has been brutally murdered in the signature style of a notorious drug dealer who Briggs has been chasing for a while. He's leading the chase through London streets, and he tries to unravel the mystery of how the dealer always seems to be one step ahead of him. He just can't catch him. When he just thinks of giving up, he thinks it's all over. He receives an anonymous call, which blows the case wide open. Doesn't know who to trust. Can't even trust himself. Locations: a house, the opening scene for the murder. I think of using my own house because I tried to imply that the drug dealer is quite high end, and my house is quite stereotypically middle class, which is exactly what I want. A phone box for where he receives the call. Very easy to find, dotted all around London. Because they're not used that much, a lot of them are quite derelict, which is what I'm looking for. And an office. My dad works in a very stereotypical office, so I'm thinking, the use of changing things like backgrounds, maybe having a board where he's working on the case can make it look like a police precinct. So I think I can use that effectively. The actors. For Sam Grimes, I've got a friend of Pakistani origin, and I've done this so I can try and flip convention, subvert it, and maybe make the film multiracial. I feel this works as in modern times, in classic times, you had sort of the tough white man often dominating foreign villains, as seen in movies like James Bond. So I've chosen to subvert this and have an ethnic minority as the protagonist and a white man as the antagonist, which is against audience expectation. So the villain, Johnny Thompson, is played by myself. I'm quite short, and I feel that I might blend in with the crowd quite well, which is what I'm aiming for, as that's the sort of idea of the twist, is that you don't know who it's going to be. So if I make it an obvious villain, as seen by Kevin Spacey into Seven Men, then that's not what I want. I want it to blend in quite nicely. My unique selling point is that it's a modern subversion. The modern aspect is quite unique, as most films such as The Big Sleep and all the texts are quite specific of their time. In mine, it's also specific at the time, and I want to really represent the modern aspect of it by the use of modern cars, derelict phone boxes that may have been used in the 60s but aren't very well used now, modern drugs, the way they speak. The setting, the film is set in England. This contrasts film noir detective dramas as they're often set in the US. Often they are hardline and fit in well with the American stereotype of a sort of rough detective, might even be an alcoholic or something like that. Whereas mine is British, and I hope to incorporate a sense of nationality into it, definitely with the London and England aspect of it. The actor is an ethnic minority. It's different to most productions, as mentioned before. Often we see a white man as the powerful protagonist who's against an ethnic minority who is the antagonist. In this, the ethnic minority is the hero, which I feel would definitely expand my target audience and appeal to more people to watch my short film. Equipment. I'll be using a Canon EOS 600D. It's not the best, but it works well for me. I've used it in other productions. I'll be using a tripod so I can get some nice steady shots, and hopefully a steady cam as well so I can get tracking shots as well. A wireless mic recording with external sound, as I mentioned before. Sound in film noir is absolutely vital because it's not necessarily the visuals, because it's in black and white, you can't impress that well with it. But so the sound and the soundtrack is vital, but then the external lighting is what really makes a film noir a top quality production. It's important as lighting is vital for quality. They build tension, mood and character, and extremely important to distort and enhance the desired areas of black and white, which is hard to do, but definitely important for the production as a whole. Lastly, the soundtrack. I look to go in the stereotypical film noir soundtrack, such as jazz, to suit the tone. I'll definitely make use of my school's musicians to provide a royalty-free soundtrack. And I'll also look for inspiration as well in video games such as LA Noire, which has a very extensive soundtrack, and therefore I could look at different aspects and different inspirations such as LA Noire to create an effective production as a whole. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, I was wondering, are you going to have a black and white tint or something of a similar nature?
Rather than putting maybe a filter on it, I might look to drown out the colours using post-production. You might think that I might put a filter on it, like a noir filter, but sometimes I feel they're quite restrictive, whereas I think that maybe playing with the colours, maybe not having completely black and white, and playing with the colours will have a good effect and improve the aesthetics of the production as a whole.